Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.
Hello and welcome everyone. So I have Saurabh here with me for third innings. And so what did you think about today, Saurabh? What a topsy-turvy day of cricket, wasn't it?
What a day, huh? And the first thing I thought about when stumps were called was we are getting 25 days of Test cricket.
Exactly.
I don't know when when that has happened before. I'm assuming it's obviously very rare. I don't even know if it has ever happened actually. But 25 days of Test cricket, each one going, very closely fought. I can't. I mean, there have been greater Test series than this. But I can't recall a more even sort of Test series than this, even though the score might end up 3-1 tomorrow to England.
Yeah. You do have a point there. I think even Ashes 2023 was one such series where a lot of games were going into the 5 days. I think the Manchester game was a bit affected by rain, so ultimately I don't exactly remember how many days that ended up being. But that was another series I remember in England that the plays, ended up going till the 5 days. So again, we are going to see 25 days of Test cricket, and it's such a stark contrast from the previous Australia tour, right? Where everything seemed to be ending in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. There was a 5-day game as well, but I mean, yeah.
That was
very interesting
Brisbane,
match
right?
setup right now.
That was rain affected, the 5-day game, the Brisbane one.
No, even MCG was 5 days though.
Even MCG, even MCG was 5 days. That was the stupid game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Yeah, that was. But obviously, I think the difference there was the pitches were a lot more spicy, and the bowling attacks, both attacks, I think, were better in the sense. Bumrah was at his peak, which automatically lifts an attack by several notches, and Australia had Hazelwood, Stark, Boland, Cummins doing their thing. So the England attack is not quite at that level, and India also this series. I think Bumrah has only had a poor series by his standards. If we just look at it, what he has done, he's been fine actually. And even when he has not been like a striking sort of force, he has kept the runs down at least. He's kept some control. He's given Gill some measure of control. But this series all of us I think thought that it would be over. It would be 3-1 by the end of day today, and now it could be 2-2 or 3-1. What do you think? Who has the advantage, going into tomorrow now that stumps have been called?
See, advantage, it's going to come down to the heavy roller versus fresh legs for the Indian fast bowlers, and they could possibly even take the new ball. But at the moment, what I'm feeling is England might just benefit from it. I don't know, because India were really getting into this momentum of sorts, and that's what I was saying in the group as well, right? That I really felt that Siraj and Prasid together were bowling in a really beautiful rhythm together, and that doesn't always happen, right? There is absolutely no guarantee that it is going to happen tomorrow, and you need to understand that Jamie Smith has scored a lot of runs in this series. If he comes back tomorrow fresh, he could just get the job done, and Jamie Overton can bat, Gus Atkinson can bat. We don't know yet about Chris Wokes, but what if it's going to come down to the wire, and if he has to bat, what happens? So, and Josh Tongue is there. So it's going to be an interesting game. At the moment, I still feel it's in favor of England, but I was quite impressed by the comeback. Like, India did show a very good fight in this match, especially from when Brook and Root were batting, and we'll talk about them in depth for sure. It just seemed like, yeah, man, it's over. Even Jared, at one point, it was like, yeah, it's over.
I want to bring up Rajendra Kumar's comment here. It could be 2-1-2. This game could end in a tie. I love that comment. I had not considered that possibility.
Same.
And now I'm all in for that. I want a tie. I think the perfect end to this series is a tied test. This has been such an up and down series. The perfect end is a tied test. And then every team will look back and England will look back and think, oh, we should have won it 3-1. India will look back and think we should have won it 2-1 if it's a tie. So it'll just be like, a great series. This is a very good series. I think if the test ends in a tie tomorrow, it'll elevate into like a very storied sort of series. So yeah, I'm all in for the tie. Thanks,
Yeah, it'll
Rajendra
be
Kumar.
entertaining for sure. Like that is one result which none of us would have been considering, right? And
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
mentioned, if they won that Lord's match, India would be thinking, oh, okay, we could have gone 2-1. And if this game is a tie, they might think they could have won this game as well, isn't it? So
Yeah, I'm giving tight game margin to England. I mean, it's more England having lost it or tied it if it so happens, because they were in a position to win it, very
Position of
strong position. I think
Yeah.
that Harry Brook shot started it off, which
Kind
was maybe when he's 5 years into his test career, he's not going to play a shot like that. Because it's never over till it's over, and you can't leave it for the next guy. You can't just be a little carefree like that and just go and okay, I'm just going to have fun now. I have hit century, Root is near century. We are easily doing this long batting lineup, and then this sort of thing happens. So I think his shot. I mean, he played beautifully, but his shot was a little ill-advised.
But would you not say this comes back to the piece that Jared did about what is a bad shot in Test cricket? I mean, this is the way they play. He almost got out when we're talking about that pull shot that he hit of of Prasidh Krishna, which Siraj caught the ball and then ended up stepping in the boundary line. So if he got out there, then we would say that was a bad shot, right? And if you remember, in that very over, he hit another shot. He just ran down the pitch and just like hit a four, but it was not in full control. But you could see that his intent was very clear, and I think it was really that 3-over period, the over before that where he was dropped, and the over after that, where India really leaked a lot of runs. If I'm counting it correctly, they leaked 34 runs there in 3 overs, and that was towards the end of the first session. So England really got a lot of momentum there. And although I think some of their good work actually started before that, because they were taking singles really easily, man. Like I was just watching, they just kept taking singles. They were just playing that dab shot to third man, both Joe Root and Harry Brook. And when you would bowl on the pads, they would just flick it or they would just put it on the leg side. So strike rotation, absolutely not a concern for them. And I think this is one really key aspect of why this pair is so successful batting together. We've seen this before as well, right? Even in Pakistan, they've gotten big runs together when they've batted. So I think for me, today's hallmark was how easily they were just rotating strike, and of course the boundaries that Harry Brook was just audacious. He was playing some madness, like crazy shots in that little period of play.
So why I think that was a bad shot is like, and if you remember, Jared's piece ended with the fact that if you get out to it, it's a bad shot. If you don't get out to it, it's not a bad shot. So, but why I think that was an ill-advised shot, let's say, is that they were doing it so easily. Like at that particular moment, you don't need this momentum seizing batting sort of thing. You just need to milk the bowling and you'll get home.
I can see that.
Before, when he was playing the audacious shots, you needed to do something like that, because obviously India were well on top and England needed to do some sort of counter punching thing. So it made sense to me from a in-game perspective. Whereas when he got out, I just thought he's basically, it just seemed like, I hate making these sort of judgments from body language and all, but it looked like a bit, he took it a little easy. He just felt that in his mind that that we are home before they were home. So yeah,
I guess we'll never know about that until he himself comes out and talks about it in the future. If
But
it's
he
really an iconic game, who knows what he says.
I mean, I wouldn't trust what he says anyway. But there's a comment where RD says absolutely nothing should hide the incompetence to defend 370. Not once, not twice, but thrice. I just feel like I don't think it is incompetence. I think in all 3 of those chases actually, and all have been against England, there was some great batting. It's not that, see, the bowling you can always find a period of time when the bowling should have been better. But against great batting, it sort of goes away a little bit. The bowling plans, the how much the ball moves and all that also can get affected if they're belting it like that. And I think England have just unlocked, like we were discussing this off air earlier, that the Bazball era, England have just unlocked something in the 4th innings, which is quite remarkable. And I don't think I would blame the bowlers, at least not in such harsh terms. I feel like I would give them some margin because England have not done it only against India, right? They've done it against Australia also. They've done it against Pakistan also. It's not that India are the only ones at the receiving end of this. So I just think it's England batting more than the bowling being incompetent. There is always scope for bowling to improve because the perfect bowling performance is, of course, a team all out for 0 in 10 balls. So so there is always scope for the bowling to improve, but I don't think it was as bad as that. I don't know. Do you agree? Do you feel like it was bad?
It was bad.
It
if
was
I'm
bad.
being honest.
Okay.
Today was still, I would still say, today I think they really actually were able to come back, and some people were saying that because of the overcast conditions and everything. Maybe not. Who knows about that for sure? But I think Siraj really summed it up when he was really fired up after when they came back up after tea, and even Gill was really fired up, and I think it just seemed like they didn't really give up so easily. And as you mentioned, that Harry Brook wicket probably gave them an opening of sorts. But for me, you could argue it was that shot from Jacob Bethel, because he was not batting poorly I remember his first 22 balls, he was on one run at that point.
Yeah.
Like, he was just defending and leaving it properly. Like, it didn't seem like he was out of control or anything. But he was not able to score runs, right? So the pressure was building. And ultimately, he had to, he also ran down the wicket and got bowled. So that was one big thing. And then Joe Root getting out, we were saying that again and again. That was going to be the issue. That if Joe Root gets out, this game can go anywhere. And that is ultimately what happened, right? So... But apart from that, in that middle period, no, I don't think India bowled well, honestly. Like, as I mentioned, England were able to rotate strikes so easily, and they were hitting boundaries. So I'm not saying like that this was a absolutely terrible bowling performance or anything, but in that middle period, I think they really allowed Root and Brook to settle down and do what they do best. At no point did it seem like they were able to rattle them. Did you think that?
No, they were not able to rattle them. I put that down to the batter's skill rather than the bowlers. I mean, like I'm saying, I'm not saying that they were, terrific, the bowling, but I thought they were like not terrible. Let's put it that way. So it was not terrible. That's what I said. I wouldn't castigate them in such harsh terms, like people are saying about not defending 370 thrice. I wouldn't castigate them in such harsh terms. I would just put it down to, more towards the England batting. And Brook is obviously, in the middle of a great purple patch. Joe Root is one of the all-time greatest test batsmen, also in the middle of a great run. So it's not inconceivable that they make the bowling look worse than it is. So good bowling becomes okay and okay bowling becomes bad, sort of. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what, for me, it was okay sort of bowling, but it was made to look bad because of the batsman's skill. I just thought that they did it beautifully. I was more giving credit to them than
I think, yeah. For this innings, I think I can see that, yeah. But honestly, if you talk about the previous two chases, especially I think that Edgbaston one in 2022, that was a pretty poor bowling performance from India, from what I can recollect. Because Shardul, Siraj, everybody was going for like loads of runs and they were just smashing everyone. 4-pace attack. Didn't matter to them. That time it was Root and Bairstow. In the last time they chased 370 in the series, again Root was not out. Again in this innings, Root makes another century, and it's just that he wasn't not out this time. That was probably the only thing. And if India somehow managed to steal this test match, he might just regret that. But I think I think they actually started well. If we look like at the first hour, probably they were bowling well because they got the wicket of Ollie Pope. And you remember there was that one over where Siraj beat Duckett 5 times in one over.
Yeah.
So it's not that it was completely rubbish bowling. But I think it just comes down to a lack of discipline maybe, because you do see that Indian bowlers, they don't really bowl in that channel for a very long period of time. They start straying on the pads, and I get why. They probably want to attack the stumps. But then it comes down to the discipline thing, right? Like how well are you able to do it? Because if you don't do it well, these guys can just, rotate strike very easily. And it's the same thing when you're bowling in the channel as well. Again, these guys can just like dab it to third man or dab it to point. You just know that rotating strike is very easy for them. So you do have a point there when you say that it was actually some pretty good batting as well. So
I was actually getting a little nostalgic for MS Dhoni's 2008 tactics against Australia. In Mohali, he set an 8-1 field and asked the bowlers to bowl well wide outside off stump. Like Australia were actually really going for it. and he did this, and everyone was like, in a bit of a minor uproar that, oh, what is this against the spirit of cricket and all that. And Dhoni basically, he doesn't show the finger to anyone, but he did it by just ignoring that criticism entirely and just going about it the way he wanted to. And I actually think against baseball, that is something worth trying once at least, because these guys are so intent on feeling bat on ball and scoring and looking for scoring opportunities. What happens if you completely dry that out? You bowl to an 8-1 field, bowl well wide outside off. What are they going to do? They're probably going to do some... in 2008, this was not done so much. They'll walk across a lot. They'll do all this stuff. But if they're doing that, it's also a much riskier form of baseball than before. So it's worth experiment. If it doesn't work, if they consistently, lap sweeping you and all that very easily, then you can go back to a more traditional thing. But it's worth, doing. Maybe do a 7-2 field or something like that and bowl well wide outside off. And
they
see what happens
something
if
like this, no?
No,
when Jamie Smith and Harry Brook were batting.
Do it for a session, I'm saying. Like, do it for a whole session. Or do it for 20 overs or something. Like, bowl that completely dry for 20 overs and then see what happens. Like, if you do it for a short period, it'd just be interesting. And not related to our discussion, but there's a really great comment from Hawkeye, which says, at least Kuldeep got to travel, maybe enjoy an English breakfast, maybe enjoy several English breakfasts, Kuldeep. But I think every single time any of us have been on the show, in some form or the other, we have said that, oh, if only Kuldeep Yadav was in the 11. And over 25 days, it has not happened. So there's not much else that we can do. But yeah, let's hope Kuldeep likes English breakfast and he got some.
Yeah.
But just back to the chase itself, I just wanted to dwell a little bit on the Siraj, that treading on the boundary rope.
But I think we should take a short break first.
Yes, so we can talk about that once we're back.
And then we'll talk about that and we'll take the comments as well.
South Africa did not choke. In 1906, South Africa needed 284 to win. They'd only passed 100 in half their test innings at that point. At 105 for 6, it seemed impossible. They fought back but lost another flurry, leaving 45 to win with 1 wicket in hand. At the crease was Dave Norse, who was a capable batter, and he was joined by Percy Sherwell, the only debutant captain keeper and number 11 in Test cricket history. And these two were doing it. A huge crowd in South Africa cheered on every single run. With 8 left, Sherwell edged between slips for 4. Straight after, Norse ran a 3. England bowled 3 dots. All they needed was 1 wicket to tie. Instead, a leg side full toss, boundary, game over. This was Test cricket's first 1 wicket win, and the last partnership was a record for almost 100 years. But it was also something else. This was the first Test match that South Africa had ever won. Buy my book on Amazon, Overthrowing Cricket's Empire.
Hello and welcome everyone. So Saurabh had something to say about Siraj and the boundary line thing. Go on.
It's very in the same vein of me defending the bowlers. I'm defending Siraj also. That is just one error. It goes down as a dropped catch, I guess. But India were at the receiving end of a lot of dropped chances also. They benefited from those. So it's not as if they didn't. And this one was I think Siraj is not. He's a great bowler, but he's not the best fielder. So it's it was a bit of a tricky catch, I would say. And yeah, you can say that he was not aware of where the boundary rope was, and he should have been. Of course, he should have been aware. But I would give some margin. These mistakes happen sometimes on the field. And India wouldn't have been in the position they were in if not for Siraj on day 2, what he did. So
Absolutely.
I would just give him some margin for that and not really... Maybe I'm just like a very charitable guy, huh? I'm finding defense for everything. But genuinely, I think Siraj treading on the rope was a excusable mistake. It was a costly one, but an excusable one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Then
Also,
I guess
as
we should
DOF
get into...
says, right?
Yeah.
Some fans will blame Siraj if we lose. Are we surprised that the bloke is tired and makes a mistake? Exactly. Like, he has bowled more than 180 overs now in this series. He bowled loads of overs in Australia as well. At this point, the guy has played every single out of the 10 matches in England and Australia. So he can make a mistake. I mean, it's only human. So many players make mistakes. And of course, it's not to say that it wasn't an error and it might just end up being the error that decides this test match and the series. But it won't be the only reason India lose, because there are so many other things that keep happening. And I think that doesn't just hold for Siraj in this case. Even if you take Dawson in the previous game, these things are never just about one dropped catch or 2-3 dropped catches. If you even it out over a longer period of time, or it has to be very drastic. Like if you remember the first match that India played, the first test match of this series, where India really dropped a lot of catches. I think they dropped like 5 or 6 catches in that match. Jaiswal had a bit of a bad game. So I think when you have so many mistakes, then I think it's a bit fair to say that, yeah, fielding played a bit of a part. So, yeah, I think we can start by taking a few comments.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go for it.
All right.
Which is a comment you want to take?
So I think we can take this one comment by Deathkiller43, who says that also if we lose this test, we may have to go 9 on 9 in the home run to qualify for the WTC, which looks unlikely. I think very interesting for sure.
I had actually forgotten about the WTC, I was just thinking of this series and how it has been and everything. But that's a very fair comment. I think and 9 out of 9 at home is no longer the guarantee it once was, right? After New Zealand 3-0. Yeah. So you could say a year back you would say 9 out of 9 at home. Yeah, no problem. I think India can do it. Just prepare ragging turners and unleash a 4-spin attack. And that's it. But 9 out of 9 at home is not as straightforward as it used to be. So that's a interesting comment, and I had not thought about that.
Yeah. And you know what, even Behram, when we were talking before this match, like before this, this session, so he also told me to talk about the WTC points, and I saw this comment, I was like, yeah, this is the perfect opportunity to do that. So India play 9 matches, so they play 2 games against the West Indies, 2 against South Africa, and 5 against Australia, I believe. That would be in the start of 2027, if I'm not, if I remember it right. So, and they've already played 5 matches here in England. What are their other away tours? I think they play in Sri Lanka and they play in New Zealand. So maybe they can do well in Sri Lanka as well. And
Could
New
be,
Zealand, we'll see.
I think, it depends on sort of Bumrah's fitness availability, Siraj's state after having bowled so much and potentially bowling a lot more in the home season also. And even that 9 out of 9, if 5 are against Australia, it's very, very far from a guarantee
it's not
to
going to
win
happen then.
9 out of 9.
Yeah, but I think you need not win 9 out of 9. I don't know. I've not done the math yet, but maybe if they go 7 or 8 wins and they do well in Sri Lanka, maybe get a test win in New Zealand, all of those combinations, then depending upon how the other teams do, they could end up making it, right? Like, even if you talk about the previous WTC cycle, even after the 3-0, and even I think up to the MCG test, there were various scenarios coming up that maybe India can still make it to the final. So, and that was after one very terrible 3-0 series loss, which I would still believe was down to an aberration of sorts. Where senior batters were not performing, spinners finally had a bad series, and all those things. This will be a new team, fresh team. I would think that it's probably not going to happen again, but I mean, this is sport. Who knows what really happens, right? But it will be interesting. I think WTC points.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think 3-0 type of scenario will happen again. I agree with you there. That it looks very unlikely. It's just, that was like all the Swiss cheese holes aligning perfectly, and it's
And they could have still won the Wankhede test. That's what I keep saying. They could have won the Wankhede test, and they could have drawn the MCG test, in my opinion. Like, genuinely, I'm not even like extrapolating it a lot. Those were the 2 situations which they just really let the game slide after being in positions from where they could have, really. And they had to chase 146. Pant was batting well. Others didn't play well. Ashwin eventually got out playing a bit of a bad shot. I think he started like reverse swept or something and he got out. So I would really just say that you have burned that out of memory.
You're talking about Wankhede. Okay.
Yeah.
That is absolutely burned out of my memory, because I actually don't think I watched it. I think I was traveling or something. So I just was following the scores. And I was following the scores with a morbid curiosity, like, because after India lost the first test, I thought, wow, that's an aberration, India lost a test at home. And then in the second test, when they lost, I was like, my God, India have lost a series at home. And then in the third test, I was like, how is this possible? India getting whitewashed at home. Like this Indian team, but particularly, which is been the strongest team in their test history, was getting whitewashed at home. That was, yeah. So it was, yeah. Which other comment do you want to take?
So I would just say that for one more thing, that I think that series probably just bookended that whole great team era, and all those lots of retirements. We've seen a lot of retirements after that, so we'll see a whole new fresh team. And I think we can take one comment by Mrinal, who says that Saurabh is really sounding like Ganguly. I mean his voice. What do you have to say about that?
That's a compliment. Saurabh Ganguly sounds great. Like, I mean, he's a great speaker. He's a great speaker. He's a much better batter than I am. He's a much better bowler than I am also. I might sort of equal him on fielding in my prime, but that's about it. So if I'm and he's a much better captain also than I am, I'm sure. So that's great, man. I'm happy.
Of course. I think we can take Ankur's comment. He has been kind of spamming this comment for a long time. So he says that Akash and Krishna just don't match test fitness standard. They came after break. Tung, Gus, Jamie just show their fitness levels. They didn't get tired after 28 to 30 overs and clocking 138 to 140. What do you think about that?
I don't know, man. How do you know their fitness levels? What break? Prasidh was playing the IPL right before coming here. Prasidh was part of the test team in Australia also. Akash was also part of the test team. He got injured. It's not a break. He got injured there.
Yeah.
And Akash is unfortunately not a regular in IPL team, so he didn't really play that much in the IPL. But he played the Lord's Test. He played the previous test. Like, I don't know. I can't make sense of this comment.
So Akashdeep has played 3 matches in this series, correct?
Yeah.
Prasidh has also played 3 matches in the series.
Akash was not picked for the first one, so he has missed only 1 match through injury.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, they've both played 3 matches in this series each. Tung is also playing his 3rd match. Gus and Jamie have both played their first test match of this series, so I think we can expect some sort of a difference, right? And another thing that obviously I think England even England had to suffer from that, because eventually Chris Wokes had that freak injury. But India went with 3 fast bowlers, right? I think that also is a bit of a concern, and it's one thing that we've been repeating over and over again. India need to go with a more attacking bowling, and I think a lot of these comments also just agree with us, and they're like, India, why do India need to go so defensive with the ball? Like, why do they have to pack the team with all-rounders? We just haven't been able to make sense of it, and we are now in the 24th day of the series. We are still asking this question. Every day we are having the same conversation, but we still clearly don't have any answers. But
you know what?
If India still managed to...
We will be asking this tomorrow also, no matter the result. That why did they go with more all-rounders than strike bowlers? Even if India managed to pull off a win here, we'll say that it could have been 3-2 so instead of 2-all. Or sorry, it could have been 3-1 instead of 2-all. So, there was another, I think, that I saw. Do you see England making it to the WTC final after understanding how the competition works? Bart is a serious fan. I think this is a very interesting question, because mainly I don't know if they still know how the competition works. I have no idea. See, the last time Ben Stokes said he has no idea how the point system works. Since then, he has not come out and said that, okay, now I get it. Now I understand it. So we have no evidence to know whether they actually understand the point system now or not. So them making it would be great cinema, because even after he makes it to the final, Ben Stokes will be like, I don't know how we made it. I don't understand the point system. So... so just for the entertainment factor of it, maybe if they make it, it'll be good to see. It'll also lead to a lot of home advantage questions, with the WTC final in England every year. Yeah. So far, it has not raised that, because England aren't bothered about it, right? Like they don't care about the WTC points. So they've never qualified for the final. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think Who all do they play actually in the series? They'll go to Australia, obviously. That is one thing.
They'll go to Australia.
But-
Yeah. Oh, so they're not making it to the final. They're not going to win in Australia, right?
Well, I mean, Australia aren't the strongest team that they once. They are not the strong batting lineup that they once were. The pitches are a lot more spicy. Who knows what can happen, right? I'm not saying England will win, but it could be an interesting series for sure. And a lot will depend on what pacers end up being fit for England when they go there. Is Joe Root finally going to have that one big series in Australia that everybody, like, it's that one thing which is whenever he makes 100, it's like, nice 100 in Australia for him. Nice 100. I mean, the guy has 39 hundreds now. Give it a break. I mean, he still has a lot of
Yes.
50s in Australia, doesn't he? 8, 9 50s in 27 odd innings. So it's not like he's been completely bad. I mean, I agree that he's not been up to the mark in Australia, and that's the one country. But you talk about so many greats, right? So many greats have that one country where they haven't done very well. Dravid in South Africa, Ricky Ponting in India, then you have Callis in England. So I think one country, everybody is not like Sachin Tendulkar or Steve Smith to score everywhere, is it?
And Shayan is defending Joe Root and all. Off air, he was just completely underrating Root and saying that he's not really up to it and all that. He's not one of the greats of the era. And
don't manipulate the conversation, bro. This man said that. Let me tell you guys, this man tweeted that he is not sure who is the best test batter of this era between Steve Smith and Joe Root.
So I'll tell you why.
He has
I'll
been carried away by
that.
recency bias. I am telling you.
No.
As much as I like Root.
I'll tell you why I said that. Because I am putting a longevity tax, which longevity not just in the span of time played, but the number of tests played across which. So like Joe Root before 2021, he was part of the Fab Four, so to say. Means he was looked at as one of the best batters in the world anyway. And then since 2021, he has elevated his game to another level. And now, so my question to you is this. Actually, it was slightly looking ahead in the future. If Joe Root breaks Sachin Tendulkar's record, then where would you put him? As in his generation, is he still second best or is he equal best?
I think it depends on how Steve Smith also ends from here, right? Like if
let's say Steve Smith has an okay time, like not too bad, not too good, but like what he has had in the last couple of years, he continues like that for a couple more years. But Joe Root goes and breaks Sachin Tendulkar's record. Then where do you see them?
Then it will be, I think, then I will be willing to listen to the argument for sure. And then maybe it will be more of an equal battle and all of that. But I think right now for me, it's very clearly Steve Smith, the best test batter of this generation. And simply because of the absolutely incredible peak that he had where he was nearly twice as good as the rest of the top 6 batters in his matches. And that was over a good 90-95 inning stretch from 5 years, 6 years. So I don't think, like as much as Root has been brilliant, and Root, the thing with Root is that I think he's not really had a lot of down periods. Like it was just that 2018 to 20 period where he didn't really make a lot of runs, and his start was not the best, like when he just started out playing test cricket. But if you go from 2014 to mid 2018, or rather till that Ashes of 2017-18, that was another very productive period for Joe Root that people often don't talk about in the same vein, right? But I think clearly if we go by the 2010s, Joe Root was probably still like the third best out of the Fab Four. But in this 2020s, he has easily been the best, right? And you could argue Williamson as well, but Williamson has that high average and New Zealand don't play as many tests and all those things. But for me, I think it's easily Root because of the quality of the opposition who they end up playing against and all those sorts of things. For me, easily Root has... And even now, if you ask me to pick the first batter in a Test 11, it is Joe Root. I think he is the best test batter in the world right now, comfortably.
Yeah, right now, of course. But I mean, Kane Williamson also, suffers from that New Zealand not playing enough. Like it's not Williamson's fault. But Root has played so much more and he has like sustained excellence over such a high number of matches.
Yeah.
Which I think is very difficult to do because like form in cricket is not linear. Like I was saying, like it's not as if otherwise like Virat Kohli should have ended up with 110 international centuries. If like form was linear, because it does happen that sometimes you can't sustain that sort of level. Everything needs to click for a long time for it to be that good, which is why I was sort of putting. But yeah, so I would agree that maybe Root equal to Smith is premature right now, but I see that as a valid thing 2 years from now when Root is at 16,000
that I can understand. Yeah. What happens if, like, let's say worst case for Joe Root, he doesn't make runs in Australia. Maybe they have a really bad Ashes And English cricketers are known to retire early, right? I'm not saying he will retire, but
That's
I think
why-
he clearly has legs in his game, and even if he has a
That's
bad
why
Ashes, he
the-
can still carry on.
No, that's why the delete function is there on Twitter. I just delete my tweet. It's like I never said it.
Or you delete that Ashes like Joe Root said. Like Stuart Broad said the last time.
Yeah.
Just delete that
was-
Ashes.
yeah.
Null and void,
It just
doesn't matter.
count. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we can
So
just end
anyway,
with a very light comment and just say that Smith has done pretty well for a Shane Warne replacement, right?
yes, he has.
That he has.
Yeah, the
So guys,
the
I'm
next
actually
blonde
working on this
leggy-
piece that's about who is the best test batter versus India in this modern generation. Is it Steve Smith or is it Joe Root? And I think that has a lot more scope for debate than the Steve Smith versus Joe Root argument overall, because versus India there's a lot more other things. And whenever that piece comes out, I hope you guys also go and check that out. And please go and check out the goodareas.co website and bookmark it for all the stuff that we do, all the content that we produce. And there we also have a Patreon tab where you can go and sign up. And it's because of the people on Patreon who are supporting us, all the work that we are doing at the moment. So please go and check that out. And thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
And just remember that we are going to be early tomorrow because the test is going to finish soon,
Yeah.
one way or the other. So yeah, just tune in back. We'll be back again tomorrow.
Correct.
I once made a pair in a club game, which is almost impossible to do. But I have been obsessed with batting my entire life. And so I put that into my new book, The Art of Batting. Being that I'm not very good at that skill, I decided to talk to other people who were. So I hit up as many contacts as I could just to talk about batting. Rahul Dravid, Brian Lara, A.B. de Villiers, Kumar Sangakkara, Ross Taylor, Susie Bates, Nasser Hussain, Ian Chappell, and so many, many, many more. I wanted batters to talk about how they and their friends made runs, because that is the art of batting.